You know, whenever you're exposed to advertising in this country, you realize all over again that America's leading industry is still the manufacture, distribution, packaging, and marketing of bullshit. High-quality bullshit, world-class designer bullshit, to be sure. Hospital-tested, clinically proven bullshit, but bullshit nonetheless. And it always amuses me that so many people seem to think that bullshit only comes from certain sources. You know, advertising, politicians, salesmen. Not true. Bullshit is everywhere. Bullshit is rampant. Parents are full of shit. Teachers are full of shit. Clergymen are full of shit. Law enforcement people are full of shit. The entire country is completely full of shit. In fact, this country was founded by a group of slave owners who told us that all men are created equal. That is what's known as being stunningly full of shit. The American people like their bullshit out front, where they can get a good, strong whiff of it. That's why they re-elected Clinton. Listen, Clinton might be full of shit, but he lets you know it. Dole tried to hide it. I'm an honest man. Bullshit. Bullshit. People don't believe that shit. Clinton said, "Hi, I'm full of shit, and how do you like that?" And the people said, "At least he's honest. At least he's honest about being full of shit." Then you have advertising. Advertising sells you things you don't need and can't afford that are overpriced and don't work. And they do it by exploiting your fears and insecurities. And if you don't have any, they'll be glad to give you a few by showing you a nice picture of a woman with big tits. That's the essence of advertising. Big tits. Threateningly big tits. And speaking of big tits, what about show business? Show business, completely dishonest, corrupt, and full of shit, but in a nice way. Plenty of expensive drugs and perverted sex. If you're going to be full of shit, might as well enjoy your work. Then you have the media. Not just the news media, let's include them all. The media are almost literally exploding with bullshit because they're located right at the crossroads of all the other bullshit. The media are made up of equal parts advertising, politics, business, public relations, and show business. These people are sitting right at bullshit junction. There's enough bullshit in the media for Texas to open a branch office. And you still have enough left over to start 2 law firms and a Christian bookstore. Because, folks, I gotta tell you, when it comes to bullshit, truly major league bullshit, you have to stand back in awe of the all-time heavyweight champion of false promises and exaggerated claims, religion. Organized religion. It's no contest. Religion easily has the best bullshit story of all time. Think about it. Religion has convinced people that there's an invisible man living in the sky who watches everything you do every minute of every day. And the invisible man has a list of 10 specific things he doesn't want you to do. And if you do any of these things, he will send you to a special place of burning and fire and smoke and torture and anguish for you to live forever and suffer and burn and scream until the end of time. But he loves you. He loves you. He loves you, and he needs money. He always needs money. He's all-powerful, all-present, all-knowing, and all-wise. Just can't handle money. Religion takes in billions and billions of dollars. They pay no taxes, and somehow they always need money. You talk about a good bullshit story. If I may be permitted a small pun, holy shit. Holy shit.
And when it comes to baseball, golf, or tennis, the greatest bullshit story ever told would probably be the story of the infamous linear striking zone. As that story goes, at the moment when the ball is being struck, the bat, or the racket, must be moving in a straight line, which would be directed into the target area. This very idea became a fundamental premise, a cornerstone of the entire ball throwing and ball striking paradigm. It is responsible for shaping the overall mental image of the ball striking process. And all so-called theories of spinning, and especially directing the ball, have been derived from it. But the truth of the matter is, this idea is nothing but a pure fantasy. In reality, those bats and those rackets are moving so quickly that the whole swing is just a blur, and it is impossible to see what is taking place there. Since there is nothing inborn or intuitive about striking or throwing, people, if left to their own devices, wouldn't know how to go about it. They require guidance. And that, of course, creates a perfect environment for the bullshit to thrive and flourish. And flourish it does. For decades, the self-appointed experts have been piling it on, much like they have been doing it everywhere else since the times of the emperor's new clothes. So it is not surprising that this mountain of bullshit has become so enormous that it is not that easy to get out from under it. You could feel very much lost without it, especially if that was all you have ever known. With all that being said, let's see what a simple modeling and a pinch of common sense can do, if anything, against that pile. So, without further ado, biomechanically speaking. You would have to have your arms moving forward, while simultaneously have your wrists move the bat or the racket backward, because that would be the only possible way of having the bat move in a straight line while being swung at the same time. Here, you've got to ask yourself, does that feel like anything that you'll be able to do while you are striking the ball? Of course not. Not even close. To execute such maneuver at full speed of a swing would be physically impossible, no matter who you are or how hard you try. That's why you do not see any quote-unquote linear zones in the track of this swing. There is nothing but a continuous, uninterrupted curvature from start to finish. And all those who insist that the linear striking zone exists and it must be pursued, if I may be permitted to quote the master, they are
stunningly full of shit.
There is another slight problem with the linear striking paradigm. Let us imagine for a moment that somehow, inexplicably, you have managed to learn to guide your bat in a straight line, which is directed right into the target. In that case, all along its linear travel, this will be pretty much your bat's orientation. I hope it is self-explanatory why such angle of the bat will never result in the balls going into the target. But if, on the other hand, you were to orient the bat appropriately, while still maintaining the swing and the linear travel, then the direction of your imaginary straight line will have nothing to do with your intended target. Go figure.